Hey YouTubers, if you like what you see, make sure you click subscribe below. Today we're going to do our Thursday night triple threat episode, and we got a little treat for you. The singing vocal cords of @TripleCodeJames.
Yeah.
And we'll be spinning the wheel, so make sure you subscribe.
Can't wait.
In a world where losing in your fantasy football league isn't an option, we present to you Triple Coverage Podcast.
Coming to you live from TCP Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, Jay Up and James Up are your co-hosts for everything fantasy football related. So sit back, crack a cold one, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Triple Coverage Podcast. It is Thursday. It is our triple threat episode, and we're going to do our little Thursday review preview for you. Not a whole lot to talk about with the review, but we'll get to it anyways. I am your host, Jay Up. You can find me on Twitter @TripleCodeJ, and here with my brother James.
Hello.
And my co-host here, you can find him on @TripleCodeJames on Twitter.
On Twitter, yes. That is correct. You want to jump right into week one's mess?
We might as well, because it's not going to take too long to get through. That way we can spend a little more time on the game coming up for week 2.
I think we both took... didn't you take the over?
We both took the over.
Yeah.
And then immediately, as soon as we both picked the over, we warned everybody that whenever you and I both like the same thing, it is going to lose. And guess what, guys? It lost.
So would you take that as that's a win then for us, right?
Well, I lost in the sportsbook.
We picked what we picked, but we told you to go the opposite. So technically that's a win. I ended up going Chicago on the money line, and obviously that lost as well. 10-3 final.
Yeah.
Green Bay wins on the road in Chicago. Chicago, to me, and Green Bay, both teams, I gotta say, look like it was a scrimmage. It looked like it was a preseason game, and maybe that's a lot to do with them not playing in the preseason anymore, and not even sending out their starters. So it just looked very sloppy from the beginning. How many, Jay, would you say? How many punts do you think were in this game? How many times did both teams combine punt?
I would say a plethora.
How many? Throw out a guess.
17.
I don't know if you looked ahead of time, but exactly 17 punts.
I didn't. Careful shaking the table every time you hit the table.
Oh, 17 punts in this game. Just a nightmare. It was sloppy. It's you know what was terrible was we waited for this game opening day for the whole entire offseason and the regular season, and then it comes along and it's 10-3. Like, this is 100 years of the NFL. 100th year anniversary, I should say, and this is the game we get week 1.
It was a preseason game, and we should have known that going into it, which is why I don't know why. Like, we hate betting under. Okay, that's well proven fact. We hate betting the under, and so we don't like going out on a limb, even on first game. We should have known.
Yeah.
Like, none of the Packers guys played in the preseason. None of the Bears guys played in the preseason.
These guys are all, besides David Montgomery, every other guy on both teams that are like the fantasy guys, or like the starters, I should say, they're all from before. They all played at least a year or 2 or 3 seasons together. So you would think that they don't need to play preseason. They don't need to gel. They don't need to, figure each other out. Like the Tariq Cohens and the Devontae Adams and the Allison, all of them. Like, every one of those guys should already have a rapport, and they shouldn't need to get 3 games of preseason in to look normal week 1.
No, I get that. I get it. But it is also 2 good defenses, so we should have saw the writing on the wall. Dumb pick by us. I actually had Green Bay. I liked Green Bay to win straight up, but I should have not parlayed it. I should have just left the over and off of it, and I would have been a ticket winner instead. I'm a loser like you. It's so bad, though. Aaron Rodgers, total QBR, 29.4. And then Mitchell Trubisky one-upped him by going 18.5 on a QBR. Aaron Rodgers only looked good on 1 drive.
I'll tell you.
And that was the drive he threw the 47-yard bomb to Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah.
That's the only drive he looked good on.
This is going to be the shakiest video ever. Mm-hmm. We should have probably not put this on the table.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? You live and you learn, YouTube. So stick with us. For sure, my biggest takeaway was slow, sloppy play and the misuse of David Montgomery running the ball. Cordell Patterson getting stuffed on a 4th and 1 literally made me sick to my stomach as a David Montgomery owner. I actually benched Josh Jacobs for David Montgomery, thinking that Green Bay Packers defense was as bad as it was last year. I don't know how or why, but they look vastly better than last season. And that could be because of the bad play by Chicago Bears, or it could be just because they're secondary and everyone is now into their second and third seasons because they were very young last year. But they look like a top 10 defense.
I actually talked them up a little bit in the offseason as one of the sneaky plays to finish in the top 12. I don't think we made a wall bet on it, but I actually picked Green Bay because I thought that the pieces they were putting on their defense, I was like, this team might actually be pretty good. Like they got some good corners.
They're not that good though. It was Chicago Bears, really bad play calling, in my opinion, from Nagy. I don't know. It literally looked like, Jay, like you said off air, that it was a preseason game. It was like they were trying. Cohen played most of the game in the slot, which is Anthony Miller's position, who they drafted him to be the slot guy. Now you put Tariq Cohen, who's a running back, and I get you want to get him touches. I totally get that. But you're trying to reinvent the wheel here by getting in Cordell Patterson, who's a receiver. Then you're playing Mike Davis here and there. Then you're throwing out Cohen in the slot. Then you're throwing out David Montgomery. It's like, just stick to what works and like stick with it. It seemed like they were trying to get way too cute the entire game. And the game script called for ground and pound. It was within a touchdown the entire game, and they stopped going to David Montgomery, who, in my opinion, with my eyes, with the eye test, looked the best out of all 18 running backs that they used because he was breaking tackles, making guys miss. Now, he only averaged 3 yards a carry, which if you look at just the stat line, you didn't watch the game, you would think like, okay, he didn't look that great, obviously, but he did. He was the only guy that was running aggressive and making guys miss, and they completely went away from him the second half. Completely. Like, they basically just stopped going to him. And I'm like, so you have a guy out here that's a rookie who's hungry, who wants to eat, and somehow, some way, you're still in this game by one score. How is he not getting the ball, especially on 4th and 1, when he's the best running back on the team? You're giving it to Cordell Patterson?
Yeah, a lot of stuff that I saw, though, it was like kind of like, remember when he came out of college, the knock on David Montgomery was kind of his vision, but the guy led all of college in missed tackles. And that's kind of what I saw in the Packers game, was that his vision wasn't great. There's a couple of holes that he did miss where the blockers had it for him and he missed the hole, but he did break tackles. So he kind of was what we thought he was. I just didn't think they were ready to unleash him yet, which is clearly the reason why he only got 6 carries. Mike Davis actually outsnapped him as well. And then you look at like Allen Robinson on the receiving side. Clearly, Allen Robinson is going to be his go-to guy. Like you saw the last few games of the season last year and into the playoffs. And then in week 1, Allen Robinson led with 13 targets. Tariq Cohen was second on the team with 10, but he was more of the safety valve. Like, he was the guy that when the play broke down, he just dumped it off to Tariq Cohen. He caught 8 of those targets. Allen Robinson got 7 of his 13. But if you're going to tell me going forward that Trubisky's just going to look for Allen Robinson, he's going to get more than 10 targets every game, now I'm buying into Allen Robinson to at least be a wide receiver 2.
You don't think it's a little overreaction, though?
I don't think it's an overreaction because it wasn't a game where it called for, 50 passes. Right. It didn't call for 50 passes. If it was a game where it was like...
Anthony Miller got 1 target.
No, he got 0 targets.
No, he got 1. I saw it.
Oh, okay.
I watched it.
It wasn't a flag on the play?
I don't know, but I watched it. He got 1 target. It was overthrown. He got overthrown by like 8 yards, so maybe they didn't even count it as a target. But I remember watching it in the fourth quarter. He got a target, and it was over his head. It was not catchable. So, just... The guy, Anthony Miller, everyone was so high on last year in the offseason, preseason, OTAs, all that kind of stuff, and didn't really pan out, but at least he was on the field getting targets. Now you're telling me you just went a whole game without giving him a target or 1, however you want to call it, 1 or 0. It's terrible. Like, how many targets did Tariq Cohen have?
Tariq Cohen had 10.
10 targets as a running back, and I bet you 9 of those were out of the slots. So it's like, what are we talking here? Are you telling me that Mike Davis is a better running back option than David Montgomery? Is that what you're telling me? Are you telling me that Cordell Patterson on 4th and 1 is a better option than David Montgomery?
I think that Nagy. I can't remember his name for a second. I think that Nagy got just too cute with the play calling.
That's what I'm saying.
Was just way too cute because the third leading target receiver, it was Mike Davis.
Right, all running backs.
And the fact that he got 7 targets and David Montgomery only got 1, at which he caught for 27 yards.
Right.
It just goes to show you, like, why...
Like, are they trying to hide him?
Why wasn't Montgomery...
Right, so he had seven touches.
It's hard to explain. Going forward, everything's going to change. I'm telling you right now that you're going to see way better days from Aaron Rodgers. It looked like his first preseason game.
Yeah.
It literally did. But now he's got a matchup with Minnesota, who I can tell you is no slouch on defense. So he plays a real tough Chicago defense, and now week 2 is going to play a pretty good Minnesota defense. So don't expect him to light it up with 350 yards and 3 touchdowns this week either.
Well, I agree with that, but you have to play him if you have Aaron Rodgers.
Correct.
You're starting him just in case. Packers defense allowed only 274 yards, looked vastly greater than they did last year, like I said. And my last takeaway from it was Trubisky's just not it. I'm sorry. I know it's only week 1, but I've seen 2 years now of him. This is his 3rd season, and he's just okay. And I don't know if it's because he lacks the weapons around him or what. But if you're telling me that the running backs now are getting more targets than the actual receivers on the team, and it's not that horrible of a receiving core with Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, they got Trey Burton didn't play as well. So maybe when Burton comes back, it opens up a little bit more. I don't know. But if they're going to throw to anybody out of the backfield, it should be David Montgomery. If you want to line up Cohen in the slot every once in a while, that's fine. But come on, you can't just completely disregard the fact that Anthony Miller's on the field and not getting the ball.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to leave you with was I saw this on Twitter. It was a very interesting stat. So the year that they drafted Trubisky, if you remember, they moved up to get him, right?
Yeah.
In that same draft, they could have had, if they would have stayed put, they could have had Deshaun Watson or... No, I'm saying, listen to what that says. They could have had Deshaun Watson, okay? Obviously, KC traded up to get Pat Mahomes. So they might have traded up to get ahead of Chicago, but Chicago had already drafted a quarterback, so they didn't have to. But if they would have stayed put where they were, they could have got Deshaun Watson, and then the pick they actually traded to San Fran to move up to get Trubisky was like the 61st pick.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who went 61? Alvin Kamara. So if the Bears would have just stayed pat and had better grasp on things, they literally could have stayed where they were and got Deshaun Watson and Kamara in the same draft. And obviously those were 2 spots they were looking for. They were looking for those 2 spots.
20/20 hindsight.
But it was just funny that I saw that. I was like, wow, so they gave up those 2 picks. So essentially you gave up Deshaun Watson and Alvin Kamara to move up to get Mitchell Trubisky. So that's their guy. They're going to stick with him, and they're going to give him every chance in the world because of how high he was drafted.
Right. So now I guess that brings us to my punishment song. I did write a song. It's by Lizzo. It's a 2017 song, I believe. It's called Truth Hurts. I wrote it about, David Montgomery. When you go all in on a rookie like I did, and you draft a rookie in all your drafts, and you try to play him week 1, you try to get cute, you think the rookie's going to pan out. A lot of times rookies are great until they got to be great. And also Trubisky, there's a little verse in here about you as well, because you also burned me and it's not like Rodgers did that much better, let's be honest. He didn't do that great, but he did better than Trubisky did with just 1 touchdown that he threw. So I'm going to sing here. Let me take these off because I don't want to get... I'm going to put this in my ear here.
And we're ready to rock and roll with this.
Hang on a second here.
L to the Lizzo.
What we're going to try to do is time this perfectly so that people at home watching on YouTube can also hear it. People on iTunes can hear it. Everyone's going to hear it. Now it's just a timing issue. So let's make sure this works. All right, Jay.
You just tell me when to hit play.
Hit play. We're going to try it out. Why are rookies great till they gotta be great? Trubisky took a DNA test, turns out he's 100% that bust. Even when he's scrambling crazy, yeah, he's got arm problems, that's a human in him. Bling bling tries to solve him, interception again. You could have had a good pass, non-committal. Helped you with your career, just a little. You're supposed to hold me down, but you're holding me back. Yeah, and that's the sound of me not calling you back. Why are rookies great till they gotta be great? Don't text me, tell it straight to my face. Best friend sat me down in TCP's chair. YouTube press gets you out of my hair. Fresh vocals with the bomb lighting. True man on the Minnesota Vikings. Truth hurts, needed something more exciting. Bum, 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 ba, bum, bum. Well, you tried to break my heart? Oh, that breaks my heart. That you thought you ever had it, no, you ain't from the start. Hey, I'm glad you're back with it, Mitch. I mean, who will want to hide this? You will never, ever, 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 ever be my draft pick. I put the singing single. Ain't worry about championship rings on your finger. So you can tell Tariq, shoot his shot when he sees me. It's okay, he already in my DMs. Perfect.
All right, was that good on the timing there?
One take, Jake. It was off by about 3 beats, but what are you going to do?
Hey, I hit play when you told me to hit play.
Oh, it's not your fault there, producer. That was all me. And you know what? When you hear it at home on iTunes, it's going to be off. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be off about 1 or 2 beats, but I'm not a rapper.
You're not?
If it gets cold enough. That brings us to, Jay, week 2.
Right.
Thursday night games. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. Both teams 0-1. Mm-hmm. Both teams need a win to stay anywhere relevant in this division after the New Orleans Saints comeback victory. The other 3 teams in the division are 0-1. So who's going to be second place? You'll find out on Thursday night.
This game is for second place, baby.
Yes, you're playing for second. Carolina is favored by 7. The over-under is 49.5. That line has changed 2 times already, so I expect it to change again by tomorrow morning, or when you're listening to this, double check. 49.5. Carolina is at home, like I said. 27 points scored versus the Rams last week, the Panthers had, and Tampa Bay had 2 pick sixes thrown and only scored 17 points against San Francisco. All signs kind of point towards Carolina rolling Tampa. What do you think?
All signs point towards that. I'm very disappointed in Tampa. I watched that game and against San Francisco, and they look like the same old Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, I was kind of hyped up about their offense.
Me too.
I knew their defense wasn't great, but San Francisco was not like they scored a whole bunch of points on offense. They had 2 pick sixes in the game. Mm-hmm. So Jameis Winston looked just like Jameis Winston always does.
He can't be that bad though.
Like,
dude.
I know he can't be that bad, but that's been his knock, is that he will throw for 300 yards, but then he's also going to throw 2 or 3 interceptions a game. And you can't win doing that. You can't.
How long is his leash? I know they don't have much there, but
what I want to know is
get Eli Manning. Go get some. I don't know.
How long until Arians takes over and tries to mentor Winston? Because this whole offseason he didn't do it. He let Byron Leftwich do it.
You said that months ago. I'm like, Byron Leftwich is going to be the quarterback's coach, and he had the worst mechanics of any quarterback I think I've ever seen. Like, he's got the longest throwing motion of anyone in the entire NFL that I've ever seen. That's not exaggeration. Go back, if you don't know who Byron Leftwich is, go back and look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, number 7. Look at that quarterback throw the ball. It's horrendous. He's got the biggest wind up and arm. It's weird. It's a weird mechanical issues, and he's the one that's going to tell Jameis Winston how to fix his problems. That's the last guy I want to talk to my quarterback, but that's none of my business. In this game, Jay, anything that you want to see? What's one thing that you want to see from the Carolina Panthers-Tampa Bay game?
You know what? Honestly, I want to see if they start to move more towards Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber.
Yeah, you do.
Because I don't think either one of these guys can run against Carolina.
Yeah, you do. You're going to be eating those words just like everybody else in the entire dynasty world. I'm telling you, Ronald Jones will be the guy in Tampa. Been saying it for 6 months now. He will be the guy. And again, neither one of these guys are good. I'm not arguing that Ronald Jones is a top back by any magnitude. But there's a couple things that point towards, for me, that Ronald Jones should be the guy. I actually want, and I'll get into that in a second. I'm avoiding playing both Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones right now for this week. Because, again, they're on the road at Carolina, like Jay just said. I don't feel confident playing either one. But I do want to see if Winston really is this bad. And I also put Ronald Jones is the takeover coming right now. Because of the 3 running backs last week, Jay, Ronald Jones did the best with the least amount of snap count. The least. He had 31%, which was the least of the 3 running backs over there with Ogunbowale and Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones. He had the least. He was on the field the least and produced the most. That's what I want from my guy, because that's showing now that he doesn't need to be on the field 85% of the time to win that starting job. If he keeps producing like this, only playing 30 or 40% of the snaps, they have to put him in eventually, and they have to trust that he's the starter.
I get that. I get that he played less snaps and did more with the snaps that he got, but neither one of them were good still. Neither one of the guys were good.
I thought Ronald Jones was.
I thought he ran with more aggression than Peyton Barber.
Isn't that what you want from your running back?
But did they look good? They were playing against San Francisco's defense. You thought Ronald Jones looked good?
Yeah.
I just thought he looked better than Peyton Barber.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I thought he looked good. He had 13 carries for 75 yards. So what was that, 6.5 yards a carry, roughly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 1 target, 1 catch, 18 yards. So he had 90-something yards from scrimmage and only played 30% of the plays, and he averaged 6 yards a carry. You don't think that's good? 6 yards a carry, 1 target, 18 yards. Like, come on. Give the guy a little. I know you hate him. I get it. I know you hate him. Everyone hates him.
I don't.
I'm not saying you want to own him. I'm just saying you said he doesn't look good, and I'm giving you his stats. If I told you the guy had 13 carries and averaged 6 yards a carry, caught 1 ball on 1 target for almost 20 yards, you would say, okay, that's a pretty damn good game for the third guy on the team. He played the least amount out of all 3 of them. Okay. So to me, Ronald Jones is trending up. I'm sorry. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's an RB1. He's not even an RB2. But by the end of the season, he'll be a top 30 guy. And for where he was going in redraft leagues and dynasty leagues, I think that he has tremendous value from where he was going. That's all.
Just throw a few stats out there, too, for the weekly. It's only been 1 week, obviously, so it's a very small sample size. But Carolina did let up 166 yards on the ground. So if they can run against Carolina and do it for a second week, then you can kind of see how the Tampa Bay backfield is going to shake out. They only allowed 183 yards passing, though, the Carolina defense, and that was against the Rams, who have 3 stud receivers, which all were healthy. And now you have Tampa Bay coming to town, who has at least 2 stud receivers, but their quarterback has issues. So I want to see who's going to win that battle. Like, is Jameis Winston going to be able to have a good game? Or are the Carolina Panthers going to be able to not shut down Evans and Godwin, but keep them at bay? Because San Francisco did a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, I think San Francisco's defense looked a lot better than I thought it was going to, or just Tampa Bay's offense was slow. And again, week 1, it's very hard to make that judgment when none of the teams start their starters anymore. It's just, is it just a lackluster performance because they're not in the game flow of things? Or is it the team is just that bad? And it's very hard to tell after week 1. That's why I don't do a lot of stats the first couple weeks of the season about like whose team defense is better, because like it's all about game script game 1 and what happened, and it's very hard to say like, well, so and so's got a top 3 defense. It's like, okay, it's been 1 game and they like right now the Baltimore Ravens, like, oh my God, the Baltimore Ravens this and Lamar Jackson this. It's like it's been 1 game against a horrible team, so you can't really put too much into that. Now when it's week 4, week 5, and you have a decent sample size, then we can start talking about team defenses and team offenses. Until then, I'm just not sure what to believe yet.
Yeah, and another thing to look for, I don't know if you noticed this at all in the last game that Cam Newton played, but his throwing motion, it doesn't look like he's hurt. Okay? It doesn't look like it's hurt. It looks like it changes. Like, as you watch the game, he throws from, like, different
angles.
Yes, and it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like he's in pain. And I don't think he's got like a shoulder issue again like he did last year when you called it.
But Rodgers does.
But it looks
Rodgers does the same thing.
It looks weird. It doesn't look right though. It doesn't look consistent.
It doesn't look comfortable probably.
And you saw the way he threw. He only had 216 passing yards. So it wasn't like he necessarily lit up the Rams, but it just looks weird.
I actually won a wall bet. Well, actually, it wasn't even a wall bet. It was just a $10 bet with Cisco, one of our league mates, who was running his mouth about Cam Newton. And I was telling him, I got Jacoby Brissett after Andrew Luck retired in my dynasty league. I had to trade for Jacoby Brissett, which I was upset about, but I got him. And he was like, Jacoby Brissett is not the answer. And I was like, he'll outscore Cam Newton week 1. And he's like, you think Jacoby Brissett's going to outscore Cam Newton? I'm like, yeah, I do. And so he bet me $10, and it wasn't even close. It was like Brissett had like 17.5, and I think Cam had 5.
Right.
So I already made $10 because I think Jacoby Brissett's going to be a decent starter. I don't ever think he's going to get you 45 points, but he'll be a decent starter in a Superflex league.
So you want to go right into our picks?
Yeah, so because I lost last week, I get first pick?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do a snake draft. I get the first pick, then Jay gets 2, then I get 2, and so on. Options for this game, Jameis Winston, Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard. On the Carolina side, I have Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Greg Olsen. You have the same?
Yes.
All right, my first pick is going to be Christian McCaffrey because he is my boo.
And you won.
And I love him.
There you go, and you won.
I don't think so.
It's whoever's going to get Christian McCaffrey's going to win this, for sure. My first pick is going to be Mike Evans. And then I'm going to come back with Curtis Samuel.
Really? Okay.
Really?
Then I will go Cam Newton and DJ Moore. Well, that sucks. I have all Carolina Panthers. So if Carolina has a bad offensive game, just pencil me in for a loss.
I will slide into Jameis's DMs and take him as my last pick.
So for Jay, Jameis Winston, Mike Evans, Curtis Samuel. Don't you have to take a running back? Yeah. You have to take one running back, one receiver, one quarterback.
That was not in the description.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. I guess I'll let you slide on this one because it was. We have to pick 3 players on each team: 1 quarterback, 1 running back, and then a receiver or a tight end. Remember?
But you can take 3 guys from the same team,
right? Because you did that last week. You went back to back. Aaron Rodgers and on the swing around, you got 2.
I had Allen Robinson.
Yeah. Never mind. Okay. You did. You said that you could have 2 guys on the same team that didn't matter.
You're already gonna win. So I'll switch out Rojo.
I don't care.
I'll take Ronald Jones instead of Curtis Samuel in. That would make it a little more even for you.
No. Okay. Whatever, dude.
Jameis Winston, Ronald Jones, and Mike Evans. So let's see what I'll be doing next week for my punishment. I'll spin it this time.
Did we not say ahead of time that 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 receiver or a tight end? Remember? And I was like, what about the tight end? You're like, it could be a tight end or a receiver.
What does it land on here?
Could I go 3 receivers?
Karaoke.
It did again?
Karaoke again. So
I better not lose again.
You won't.
If I lose,
Christian McCaffrey.
Every time you go karaoke, I lose. Every single time. But I'm telling you, if you go back and look last season, I think I'm on 4 straight now because it was karaoke every week, and then we changed it to the Wheel of Punishment because it was like only 2 of us instead of 3, like it was before when Travis was on the show, and so it was like every other week one of those 2 was singing. Then we added the Wheel of Punishment, so I went karaoke. We changed it to Wheel of Punishment, and the first 2 times we pulled karaoke, I did both those. Now this season, I did it again.
Well,
so
put out a mixtape.
I should put out a mixtape, but all signs are pointing to somehow you're going to squeak this out. So either Mike Evans is going to go crazy. Watch, it's going to be Winston to Evans for some long 90-yard touchdown. It's going to win you the week.
I'm telling you right now, if I win with Ronald Jones on my team, I don't even know.
It's weird to me that you did take Ronald Jones over Peyton Barber because you're still a Peyton Barber believer more than Ronald Jones.
No, I don't like either one of them.
It's like you're trying to give me a taste of my own medicine so that when Ronald Jones does blow up this week, you can say, well, I took him in that, like you believe in him now, but you're not jumping on the wagon.
I don't believe in him.
Then why'd you take him?
I didn't want him. I wanted Curtis Samuel, but because we have to stick by the rules, you took Christian McCaffrey. So my 2 options are
Chris
Ronald
Godwin.
Jones and Peyton. No, because I need a running back, James.
Well,
Ronald
Jones is it.
Between Ronald Jones and Peyton Barber, I'll take the guy that did more with his carries. I don't like either one of them.
Hop on board the Ronald Jones train, Jay. Anything else you want to add to the Thursday night game? Who do you like?
You know what? I actually like Carolina, and I probably like the under in this game. I think 49.5 is just way too much. I think both teams have an okay defense. I don't see like a shootout happening, but I could be wrong. I was wrong last week with the over-under. If I was going to bet this game, honestly, like in a sports book, I'm not going to bet the over-under. I'm probably just going to take Carolina minus 6.5 or 7.
If it stays at 7, I like Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
If it stays at 7, I'll take Tampa Bay on the road in some kind of a backdoor cover scenario. And I just think that because it had such a bad week 1, that Jameis Winston he doesn't have much time to right this ship and to get it going. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay and the over. I'm going to take the complete opposite of Jay. Jay likes Carolina and under. I like Tampa Bay and over. They can't put up 17 points and 2 pick sixes again. But Carolina's defense to me is about the same as San Francisco. So look for the game script that I kind of see shaking down.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Carolina gets out to a lead early, and the entire second half will be a ton of throwing from Tampa and a ton of carries for Christian McCaffrey and the rest of the bunch that's there. So I believe that first half, I love Carolina. Love them. Second half, I'm looking more towards Tampa Bay maybe making a comeback in garbage time and kind of throwing all over the field. That's why I don't mind that you have Winston and Mike Evans, because I think that come halftime, you're going to be like, wow, I knew it. I'm going to lose. And then second half, third quarter, fourth quarter comes, it's going to be throw, and I'm just going to have to pray that it's a Chris Godwin and not Mike Evans.
The game script is 100% set up for Carolina and their running game.
Right.
So it is set up for a huge Christian McCaffrey game, regardless of what Tampa Bay did on defense. I mean, they gave up 98 yards rushing against San Francisco, but Coleman also got hurt. And then you had Breida, who didn't really do very much with his carries, and Mostert. So they didn't really shut down the run, but they didn't get run all over either.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what McCaffrey does. He's clearly a better running back than any of the guys that San Francisco had last week. But the game script does call for Carolina to have the lead, which means it's a running game for Christian McCaffrey. And like you said, second half, look for a lot of throwing because Tampa Bay should be behind in this game. We'll see if it gets out of hand or not, but Tampa Bay should be a lot of throwing in the second half. So hopefully it's Winston to Evans and not as much Godwin. So
but either way, Winston to anyone is going to work out for you. Don't worry. So I'll start to pick out a song now, just in case, because I'm sure the Grim Reaper is going to be calling me. The karaoke Reaper is calling.
No, you got McCaffrey. You're going to get the win.
Okay, I don't care how much you try to reverse jinx it. It doesn't matter. I just go by history and the past, and that usually, how do you say it? That usually tells you the future.
There you go.
The past.
You heard it over here from Socrates over here.
Anything else you want to add Thursday
No,
night?
let's crack it.
Let's crack it. What is it? Something about the past? No, the past history. No, what is it called?